It's Samaj back here with another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a WWE video. 10 wrestlers WWE instantly regret firing. Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes in the past, and a lot of these people ended up being huge as stars. Don't matter what era it was, they regretted firing these fools.
Instantly regretted firing. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Daniel Bryan. The debut of the Nexus faction on WWE television was impactful, memorable, and borderline legendary. It was a TV-14 angle delivered in the world of PG, and unfortunately, this is where the problems began. Due to Daniel Bryan choking out Justin Roberts with his own tie, this wasn't seen in line with WWE's established PG guidelines, and it was reported that numerous political players and sponsors
I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of crazy, and this was a kind of a crazy ass shot of this man getting choked. I mean, they could have did some disciplinary things, but firing him was kind of crazy. I mean, firing him was kind of firing him was kind of crazy.
complained directly to WWE. WWE would reluctantly let Bryan go from his contract, and it was widely reported that this was something that they simply just didn't want to do. It was only fitting that when the backlash died down, WWE would bring Bryan back into the mix, and they didn't hesitate to do this within a few short months. Bryan would make his return at the 2010 SummerSlam pay-per-view in the main event of the show, and Bryan would go on to become one of the top names in the company, winning the world title on numerous occasions. Number 9.
Okay, that's
Finlay.
fair. Honestly, that's fair. At least they're smart enough sometimes to like bring a wrestler back and wait until shit dies down. That's like something they were known for in the past, honestly.
It would often be the case that WWE rushes into firing a talent or a producer, and this was a case with Finlay. Finlay was the producer for a live event on the road to WrestleMania 27, and Finlay would order The Miz to interrupt the national anthem. Unfortunately for WWE and Finlay, members of the National Guard were in attendance and they were extremely offended. The blame fell on Finlay, who was punished in the most severe way possible as he was released from his WWE contract. The backlash to this internally in WWE was one of uproar, as Finlay was beloved within the locker room, and even names such as Jim Ross would criticize the move publicly. It was almost instantaneously that WWE realized that they got it completely wrong and that Finlay shouldn't have been fired. Finlay would be brought back into the company the following year with open arms, and thankfully there was no bad.
I mean, interrupting the national anthem is kind of crazy to even do, but hey, I guess he thought it would be in the best interest of like a heel for the Miz.
Blood on either side. Number 8. Bronson Reed. One of Triple H's pet projects when he was running NXT was Bronson Reed. Reed would become NXT North American Champion, and on paper, he had every tool it took to be a major player on the roster. Sadly, when Reed had his official main roster tryout, Vince McMahon hated his work. McMahon hated his work so much that Reed would be fired from the company. This must have enraged Triple H, as he had put so much effort into getting Reed over, and now it was all ruined. When Triple H received creative power on the main roster, one of his first official acts was to bring Reed back. Reed has been outstanding since his return, and he has truly stepped up and delivered at the level that Triple H believed he could all those years ago. Number 7.
Honestly, that's just so ridiculous that he got fired just because Vince McMahon doesn't like you. The audience liked him. I mean, I was a fan of him. But like, just because Vince McMahon does not like you it goes so far. Well, it used to go far, but I'm glad Triple H brought him back. He been doing a great ass job with these matches, and I'm looking forward to see when he comes back because he got injured at Survivor Series.
7. Tony Storm. Tony Storm has emerged as one of the top stars in AEW, and her character work received critical acclaim and appreciation, even from AEW's biggest haters. Storm was under a WWE contract for several years, yet all WWE did with her on the main roster was book her in horrendously delivered comedic segments, which in turn made her look like an utter fool. When Storm asked for her release, it was immediately granted by WWE. This was a case of WWE not knowing what they had until it was gone. WWE without a doubt would re-sign Storm within seconds if she decided to leave AEW, and Storm is a great example of why sometimes it's always a good idea to bet on yourself.
I'm not gonna lie, they did put her through a lot of shit, bro. Just like humiliating, like segments and all that shit. It's like always you like realizing what could have been. Now that a lot of people's gone, she did have some points about WWE, but like, hey, at least she's great where she is right now.
Number 6, Mickie James. WWE may not have outright rejected firing Mickie James in 2021, but the way they handled her release would have certainly led to a lot of regret and anger within the company. James was released from WWE due to budget cuts relating to the COVID-19 pandemic, and James took to social media to share that WWE had sent her belongings back to her in a trash bag. Yeah, that's right, a trash bag. It
That's
showed the world that WWE
that when I heard about this story, that shit was disrespectful as hell for any capacity of how anything ends or like mutual ending things. You got to stay professional throughout this, and you got to stay professional as a company, not only to uphold the image of your company, to like respect workers. Like that shit just wild, and at the time surprised the hell out of me when they did that shit. Like what the fuck? Who does that?
WWE really didn't care about their talent, and the incident received mainstream news coverage. It was a truly horrendous look for WWE, and they knew they'd just made a huge mistake. But WWE did take immediate action, and this is what James had to say during an interview with Ariel Helwani. Personally, I wasn't as offended as the rest of the world was offended, just because I feel like it does suck and it's very, the symbology of it all. You know, even when you think about it professionally or however you feel personally, how you've been professionally booked or any of those things, all of those things aside, like that bit alone is kind of like already on a low. James will go on to state that she received calls from Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Vince McMahon, and the WWE were quick to confirm that the name responsible, reportedly being Mark Carrano, was no longer employed with the company. Number 5, Aleister Black. A former NXT champion, Aleister Black, was yet another name released from WWE due to the COVID-19 budget cuts. This release was baffling, as Black had just returned to WWE programming with a new character and they were already giving up on him. A matter of hours after Black's release was made official, it was reported that numerous companies, including AEW, wanted to sign him up, and overnight, Black became the biggest free agent in all of wrestling. Triple H must have been devastated, as Black was one of his top stars in NXT, and now Vince McMahon was releasing him without a care in the world. It was reported for years after the initial release that WWE would want Black back if he ever left AEW, and fast forward to 2025, this is now on the horizon as Black is set to make his grand return to WWE programming. Number 4, AJ Styles. AJ Styles was working in the final years of WCW without an official contract, and when WWE came calling, they knew AJ was immensely talented, but all they offered him was a developmental deal with OVW. WWE had the chance to sign one of the biggest names of the 21st century to the main roster, yet they cut ties with him completely.
Honestly, I think it was like a blessing on the table right there because AJ Styles by itself became like one of the best wrestlers outside of WWE like the world has seen. And like whatever when I seen too, like just to like make a name for yourself outside of WWE, one of the biggest companies in the like world, and like on the independent scene to like to Japan to all around the world is just amazing to see. That's like what a lot of wrestlers are like kind of doing right now.
AJ would eventually sign for TNA, where he would become their poster boy for the next decade, and AJ would cement himself as one of the biggest names in the world that wasn't signed to WWE. When he would finally put pen to paper for WWE at long last in 2016, the buzz was palpable. Now, there was initial concern at first that they wouldn't know how to use AJ. Whilst it was a rocky road at first, AJ has had a Hall of Fame career in WWE alone. Number 3,
Yep.
Bray Wyatt. One of the COVID-19 related releases that received significant criticism from fans was that of Bray Wyatt. Wyatt was reportedly let go due to his high salary, as well as WWE being in a creative rut with him. It was said that Vince McMahon often had issues with the former WWE champion.
I'm sorry. I every time I think of this, I'd be so pissed the fuck off. Like what WWE did with like one of the best characters we've seen in recent years. It pisses me off that Vince McMahon literally should just like let this man have like some creative control, more creative control of his character. Because what he did and how he booked the whole thing was so fucking annoying. It's like what could have been in you you always just think about that what could have been, because this nigga had the most best gimmick. I still look at the Fiend clips to this day. I still think that was one of the best gimmicks in like recent history that got over and people were actually like scared of. It gave off like Kane vibes and like from 1999, and for them to fuck up such a character is just like so disappointing. Oh my god! And when I was like crushed when Bray was released in 2020.
champion, so it ultimately was a no-brainer for WWE to let him go. But Wyatt was one of the most creative minds WWE had ever had under contract, and it was backwards at how they were just willing to let him go without a second thought. The fan backlash was rampant and fans were actively campaigning for WWE to bring him back, and this must have been the exact moment when WWE had just realized how popular Wyatt was with the audience. McMahon, to the surprise of many, wouldn't opt to bring Wyatt back. Instead, it was Triple H, who was a long-term supporter of Wyatt, and he insisted that Wyatt return to the company in 2022. Number 2, Matt Hardy. In 2005, Matt
Still sad that Bray passed away, man. I wish he had more time on this earth because he could have just gave some more greatest potential of like any wrestler right now.
Hardy's world would be shattered when he found out that Lita was having a real-life affair with fellow colleague Edge. Hardy, upon finding out this information, would take to the internet to share his side of the story, and in typical WWE fashion, they found this to be unprofessional, and they released him from his WWE contract. To say this angered WWE fans would be an understatement, especially because Lita and Edge were receiving pushes on TV, yet the man that was wronged was now unemployed. Firing Hardy instead of offering him support was a terrible PR move for WWE, and media outlets across the world would pick up the story. Hardy was supported both online as well as at live shows, as chants in support of him were delivered on Raw, SmackDown, and live events. The reaction was so severe that WWE were forced to bring him back, and this rehiring should have come with a formal apology and an acknowledgement of WWE's mistake. And number 1, CM Punk.
Instead, it came with a whole bunch of burying because they let him get his revenge like a couple of times, but they buried the fuck out of Matt Hardy during that time.
There was a ton of discourse in late 2014 where the WWE would sink as low to fire a man on his wedding day, and the majority of fans were under the impression that WWE without a doubt acted with malice when it came to the firing of CM Punk. Punk walked out of WWE following the 2014 Royal Rumble, but he wasn't released from his contract until the end of the calendar year. WWE, for whatever reason, waited to fire him on his actual wedding day, and with Punk still having friends in WWE and his wedding date being common knowledge, all the signs pointed to this being deliberate. What WWE wouldn't have expected was for Punk to tell the world what they had done, and this would have been a moment that WWE knew they had messed up on. This story was so newsworthy at the time that McMahon directly addressed it on a live podcast, and McMahon would apologize to Punk and claim that this was not deliberate, which fans had a tough time in believing. But they have
Man, I have a tough time believing anything Vince says anymore. Shit, because of all these scandals. But like that had to be delivered, especially it had to be masterminded by Vince McMahon right now. I mean, well, Vince McMahon at that time, because there's just no way you wait until a man's wedding to just deliver some papers, which is fucking wild. But hey, if you guys enjoyed that and you want to see some more WWE videos, like and subscribe. And we on the road to 200. Don't forget to sub up. Peace.